Hi folks, today I want to talk to you about the new Nikon Z9 that's coming out any day now. Why I think it's going to be the best camera that Nikon has ever released, why I'm pretty certain that I'm going to go out and buy myself one, and talk you through what we're expecting in terms of specifications and where it lies in the market if it does turn out to all be accurate. Now, first of all, disclosure, a confession, well, two actually. First of all, yes, I am a card-carrying MPS member. I've been using Nikon for over a decade. I have financially invested in terms of the gear that I use for my work in Nikon. So you can say that I have an investment bias and, just take that with you as you watch the review. Also keep in mind though that I try to be fair, impartial and honest. I'm not employed by Nikon, so when the D5 came out, which I did end up buying, and it was touted as having 4K video and then it turned out to be a 3-minute clip, I made a video discussing why I thought that was stupid and unusable. 3 minutes? Seriously? When the D6 was announced, I've made videos about why I think it is completely unimpressive. So I do kind of walk a fine line here. When I say something negative about Nikon, I get told that I've been bought out by Sony when I say things negative against Sony. Apparently I'm a Sony hater. I just try and be honest as I go on through. And the second disclosure, today I'm going to do something I feel like Hattori Hanzo in Kill Bill that I promised I would never do, and it's discuss rumors. I honestly rarely read the rumor sites. There's enough stuff actually coming out every week to keep me busy without thinking about what's rumored to come out. But I am going to talk through some rumored specs for this camera that haven't been told to me by Nikon directly, anything like that. They're out there as shared rumors that I have reason to believe are going to be accurate when we finally see this camera any day now. Before all of that, if this is your first time watching, please do like and subscribe. I try and put out 2 to 3 interesting, fun, informative photography videos each week. And if you head on over to learn.mattgranger.com, that's the headquarters of all of my downloadable photography education that's about lighting and how to shoot models and travel and street photography and all of that good stuff. So I have some little notes here. Let's run through. First of all, we got a placeholder. The Z9 is coming in the same way we did for the D5 and the D6 in the past and the D850. Keep in mind, there has been some little sleights of hand in the past in terms of the wording that's used by companies, including Nikon, when they're announcing something's coming. But this is what they've told us so far. It is going to support 8K video. Words like support always concern me because it's not specifying frame rates. It's not saying it does it internally or externally. It's not doing any of that stuff, just that it supports. That's, could be a throughput. That it has a new image processing engine. Well, obviously it would. 8K is going to require it. A newly developed stacked FX CMOS sensor. So, all good. They're all good steps in the right direction. Now, as I said, I try to be honest about what I dislike and like about any equipment. Just so you know, my main cameras for shooting my stills are the Z7 Mark IIs. I really like them. I was a D850 shooter and the optics on the new system I think are better. The new cameras fit my needs in most ways better. There are still a couple of things that I don't love about it. One, the door I think sucks. I think it would be much better to have a locking mechanism. One of the reasons that I'm kind of missing a flagship level body. I also don't think that the ISO performance is great, and I also do miss, even though no Nikons have really offered this in the Pro range, having a more variable screen. There are times where it comes in handy when you're shooting really high angle or really low angle to be able to shoot in portrait mode to do more than just that. That's already something, but I would like to see, and I know pros have different opinions, I would like to see an articulated screen on the Z9, even though they've generally been fixed. So here's what we're expecting in terms of specs, and I'll tell you why I'm excited about it. First of all, 45 megapixels is the rumored resolution. A stacked CMOS sensor means that we're going to have no blackout. That really does make a difference when you're shooting anything fast moving, whether it's birds or dancers or sports or animals. to be able to not leave the scene, it makes a big difference. When you're tracking something that's moving around, you will find that your hit rate goes through the roof once you don't have that blackout. When I first used the Sony A9, it genuinely was a light bulb moment where I was like, whoa, this really changes the way I'm going to shoot this kind of stuff. Although I never bought one of those. 45 megapixels also puts it in the ballpark of the 50 megapixel A1 from Sony, and way ahead of the R3 that Canon have coming. Canon, I don't know why I said it like that. They're saying 30 frames per second. Now, my guess is that's going to be most likely with some locks, like maybe with the exposure lock and that kind of thing, rather than full metering on every shot. But if we are still getting even like 20 frames per second with all the features going, great. If it then goes to a lower one once we're using electronic shutter and maybe restricted metering and focus, so be it. Anything above 15 is already incredible. They're also saying that it may go up to 120 and even 160 frames a second using a lower resolution file. For some purposes, that may be great. I don't know if it'll be using a DX crop or anything like that. Generally, I want to keep the high res. If it's cropping it down like crazy, then I'm not thrilled about it. In terms of video, as I said, 8K, they're saying 30p in 8K, 120 in 4K, just like the Canon R5. Hopefully it doesn't overheat like the R5, but that it will include ProRes RAW support. That would be fantastic. Great thing about this, it's going to be using dual, I don't have one in this camera, dual CF Express, this one? Nope, all my cameras are empty. Dual CF Express Type 2 card slots with a new locking mechanism. Hallelujah. It's not just that it needs to have a locking mechanism. This actual design I think is bad on the Z6 and Z7. With the thumb support, which is really comfortable for shooting, you just bump that and it's got a, it's just built for being bumped open, and then there goes your weather sealing. So that design should change on their future cameras, even if they don't have a locking mechanism. Have an extra step in the way you push it out, so then you can't just bump it in one direction and have it pop open. Here's a couple of other exciting things. Potentially a 9 megapixel viewfinder that would far surpass anything. Even, Leica generally have the highest resolution EVFs. This would surpass them, and they're talking 120 hertz. So we should be looking at, I hope it's nice and big too, but simply the best EVF that's on the market. And you might think, and actually Tony Northrup did an interesting video on this a while back, how can Nikon just go from being on paper behind a lot of the other brands to coming out with something that sounds so revolutionary? It just happens. And if you've been in this industry long enough, or any industry in terms of tech, you start to see the cycles, and this does happen sometimes. Like the Nikon D3 was a big jump. So was the Canon 5D 1 and 2. Nikon now has the advantage, by being a little bit behind, of seeing what appetite there is in the market. Do people actually want 4K? What kind of frames per second do they want? Should we be putting money into getting this feature set when people maybe don't want it? It's pretty clear what the market wants. So they can say, okay, let's give them all of that and then put a little EVF here and there and come out with something that really hits the market where it should be for 2021, 2022. So I actually do think that there's a high probability that all of these specs can come through. Built-in GPS, a new battery that supports USB charging, of course, but it'll also work with the older D6 battery. A protective multi-section leaf shutter that will cover the sensor when you're changing lenses to stop dust getting in, finally. Animal autofocus, of course, people, of course, as well as car autofocus. So if you're into cars, that's pretty cool. I wonder if it's like, animals detecting a cat is so different from detecting a hippopotamus. I wonder if, shooting a Dodge or a this or a that is going to make a difference. And that was actually an analogy I thought of recently. This is my D5, which unfortunately took a bath in the ocean at Iceland. I think these can really be big jumps in the industry, being first flagship mirrorless cameras with an integrated grip from Canon and Nikon, who are the leaders in this kind of camera for the past 10 or 15 years. Because these cameras to me are kind of like a 911 Porsche or even a GT3. The design doesn't change that much. It's refined and refined and refined, but it's already right where it needs to be. Going to mirrorless tech, bringing in some of these different options, bringing the stacked CMOS so you have no blackout, the potential to bring the size and weight down a little bit, but keep this robust build quality. I really am excited about how these flagships can be, and that's one of that plus all of these specs are why I'm so pumped to hopefully get one. I will talk about price in a minute too. They're also saying AF down to -7 EV. Of course, they're saying improved 3D tracking. It would have to, being the new flagship. And a new design articulated screen that does work in portrait mode. So maybe something along the lines of what Fuji uses. That would be great. Locking dual CF Express Type B card slot. Glad they're using Type B. They're more available. They are bigger, but they're also significantly faster than the Type A that Sony are using. A third joystick for using when the camera's close to your face. It's true, can get a bit tricky using the normal one when you have, you're shooting in that traditional way. And for those people who really want the machine gun sound, even though it's not necessarily with a mirrorless camera, you'll be able to set it from silent through to loud. Now, in terms of price, I think it'll come in at $7,000 US. Wouldn't be surprised if it creeps up to 7,500. Yes, that's higher than all of the flagships in the past. I've always kind of been surprised actually why flagships have stuck around $6,000 for like the last 8 to 10 years. $6,000 in 2005 was significantly more than it is in 2021. Still, the Canon R3 has, again, it's come out and we know its pricing now, and they've made it clear it's not their flagship. So their flagship is likely to be 8.5. So in the same way that Nikon's looking at where there's appetite, what are people willing to spend on, they now also have an idea of what people are willing to spend. So I don't think it's going to come in at just the same price as their previous body. So if those specs come true, if there's no big red flags about severe hampering of any of the specifications, if there are, I'll make a follow-up video and acknowledge that. And if the price is $7,500 or under, then I think you can count me in on it. I've missed shooting with the flagship body. When I killed my D5, it was just close to when the D6 was due to come. The D6 came, and to me, it was a clear placeholder, kind of rounding out the numbering that they did on film, then DSLR, before they were starting with their mirrorless range. And for me, it wasn't a true successor to the D5. The Z9, I think, absolutely can be, and I hope it is. As soon as I get the opportunity to do some proper testing, you know what, I might even suffer the quarantine that's required, go take an international trip and test this guy out in detail for you, but also for me, because I'm dying to have that kind of a camera back in my kit. Let me know your thoughts, and don't get used to seeing me talk about rumors on the channel. I plan to go back to my sushi bar in Okinawa and live a humble life like Hattori Hanzo without any of the rumor mills. But for one, you can probably see I'm kind of excited and counting down the days until we finally find out the full details about this camera. Links to my 2 websites below. Thanks. I'll see you soon.